how anxious are you to get on the court and go up and down 5-on-5, full contact?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm in a really good place, physically, mentally. Still sort of like getting the rust off. I haven't played in over a year, so it's going to take some time to adjust and get my rhythm and flow back. But super excited just for practice to start, for games to be in the distance in which we can see, and just super excited to be on the court with my girls.
Paige, what's the last thing to come back when you're trying to knock the rust off?
I would say obviously physically you get cleared. Mentally there's still that block of being able to be confident in your body and your knee, and there's always a fear of injury, but not letting that take over you on the court, and just going out there and being sort of in a free state of mind when you're playing basketball. But I think just getting like the conditioning back is like the hardest part, and then just the rhythm in which you're playing and what you did before, and then carrying that into sort of the road to recovery, I would say.
How different is your routine and just how you practice now versus before your ACL injury?
I would say there's a lot more activation, doing like more maintenance work in the training room and rehab on just sort of like prehab, just to make sure everything is ready to go before I step out on the court. But just a lot of the same things, I would say, just a lot of activation and making sure my body's ready to go before I actually step out on the court.
I think I read somewhere that you and AZ have played something like 15 full games together over the years you've been here. So can you just talk about what you guys have been talking about, the possibility of both of you being on the court for a full season together and what that can mean for this team?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of learned to not speak about the future and just sort of stay in the present, in the moment, because never, like, in these past couple years, we think we'd only have played 15 games together. So sort of just getting our flow back together in practice, and not looking too much into the future and just sort of staying in the present. But you can't really help the excitement in which being healthy around this time means, and like sort of just the happy moments in practice of just being able to finally be on the court again together, not just with her but with everybody. So we're all just excited and ready to go.
Are you full go now?
Appreciation.
Yeah, I'm full go, yes.
You have greater appreciation now of after going through everything, that to be back, to be involved, to be back as it was when you first came to Stillers?
Yeah, I think whenever you go through an injury or just a period of time which you're missing the game and you're missing your passion, you're missing what you love to do, you come back and you want to never take it for granted again. You want to love every moment you step on the court, whether it be for practice, for a game, for a lift, for a workout, and just make sure that you never take it for granted again, and every single time you step on the floor, you're blessed to be able to be where you are.
How do you reflect back on just your life the past year? Because you didn't get to play games, but you put in countless hours of basketball work rehabilitating. You also were very active in NIL. I'm sure a large part of you can look back on it as like a really productive year in your life.
Yeah, I think obviously you don't ever want these injuries to happen, but I think what I did with it was very positive, in terms of changing my habits, changing who I am, changing what I do, and then still being able to make an impact, whether it be on the court or off the court with my teammates or off the court. Just trying to make this world a better place with NIL. So I would say, obviously looking at the silver lining and the blessing in disguise, I think this will work out well for me in the long term. Just having to deal with what I had to now so I can better my future, I think was important.
Paige, what did you see from your teammates in Europe, and how much did you enjoy the trip?
It was great. It was an amazing trip, once in a lifetime experience. All the things that were great on the court and off the court, built amazing memories and the stuff that we'll remember for the rest of our life. But I think I saw just a lot of, we barely practiced, probably I had like 6 or 7 practices before we went out to play. But you just saw a competitive style, like a hunger and a passion. And I think I saw a lot of great things from the freshmen. It's hard coming in here as a freshman and having a great amount of confidence, especially coming in here to UConn with great expectations and great pressure. But I saw great things from them and great things from the whole team. Obviously things you have to work on, but the overall starting picture was great.
Paige, have you noticed anything different about Gino from either last year to this year, or just coming back into the fold of being in practice?
Nah, he's the same old coach, but I would say obviously I was in a different perspective last year. He wasn't really coaching me as much as he is now, but no, I would say no difference.
What was it like watching Nika last year? She had this historical season, and how have you seen her grown?
It was amazing to watch Nika last year. I know she felt a lot of pressure before the season even started, with me going down and her feeling like she had to sort of fill my role and do much more than she had in the seasons prior. And for her to fulfill that and even do more than was expected was amazing to see. I mean, she was the best point guard in the country last year. So just to see that and to see her growth and maturity level grow, to see where we were as freshmen and now as we're seniors now, there's been a whole lot of growth. And she, like I said, she's one of the best point guards in the country. And I think she's a tremendous leader. She's one of the leaders on our team. And everybody follows her. She works hard, and she sets a great example on the court and off the court as well.
You mentioned senior year. Are you treating this as your senior year? You could obviously come back for another, and you've always said you wanted the college experience. I mean,
Yeah.
it does depend on how the team does. What's the future for you?
I don't know. I guess we'll see. Like I said before, from what I've learned over the past couple years, is just never take the future for granted. Stay in the moment. Stay in the present. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm calling this year. But I would say I'm a senior. I've taken 3 years of classes. It will be my 4th year classes. So classes.
Have
So
you and-
senior year classes.
Have you and Nika kind of sat down and reflected together of what senior year, whatever you want to call it, but just like, holy cow, where did the time go?
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time, like, just in stuff where it's like, all right, seniors are here. Like, me and Nika look at each other and we're like, bro, we're already seniors. Like, this is crazy. I felt like it was just yesterday that we were freshmen coming on campus in the COVID season, just sort of being new on the scene, not really knowing what to expect, and now we're here being the leaders and seniors of this team. It's kind of crazy how time flew by.
Paige, when you have to sit and watch practice, sit and watch games, I mean, you know a lot of basketball. Did you learn anything new about the game sitting there and just taking it in from a different perspective for the time you have?
Yeah, I think it makes you think of basketball in a different way. I think when you're playing, you're only focused on like you and what you can be doing better, and not really seeing what the other team's tendencies were and other teams' habits. So as a person on the sideline, I saw a lot of that, and what I try to communicate that with my teammates, whether it be Nika or anybody else out on the floor, just seeing what the other team's habits were and what we can do to sort of counteract that. It makes you think in like a wider perspective than where you're thinking about basketball when you're playing. You're just sort of thinking like what's going on in that exact moment. It sort of makes you think like a few plays ahead and more like just scheming wise, I would say.
Paige, before you,
Given all that, what do you think fans are going to see when you go out and play for the first time that maybe they have not seen before? That it's been a long time.
I think just overwhelming feeling of passion. I was saying this the other day. I think I'm going to interact with the crowd much more than Coach and CD would want. But I've just missed it so much, and I hope that when the fans watch or when the people come, they either watch it on TV or in the stadium, they see how much I miss the game. I think just my passion and my joy, just getting that back and just have fun playing the game of basketball again. That's what I want them to see.
Paige, before you, excuse, go ahead.
Any one of your teammates that you feel like has made a really big jump over the summer, or any of the freshmen that you think we should be keeping our eyes on?
Yeah, I think all the freshmen. I think Ice, she hadn't played a game yet this season, and I think she's kind of flown under the radar in terms of just being somebody that we were going to really need this season, and somebody that we could have used last season. I've seen her work extremely hard. Me and her did a lot of our rehab together, and we've grown our relationship a lot this past year. So I'm excited for her and the future that she has this year.
Paige, a year plus ago, before you realized you'd have to spend so much time working on one particular body part, you talked about just wanting to be stronger overall to absorb contact from really physical defensive players. Were you able to make strides with that the past year, strengthening other parts of your body? Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, I think I've gained around like 15 pounds since my freshman year, which I hope is all muscle, but I feel like it is. But I'm feeling much stronger. I feel more confident in my body than I ever have. Like when I step out on the court, I feel like I'm ready for whatever defense is going to throw at me. And I know people this year are going to like test me, push me around, make sure I'm really healthy, make sure my knee's really good, and use physicality as like a weapon against me. So I'm ready for that. I feel like I prepared my body more than ever than I have before. for that reason.
Want to give us a bicep flex or no?
I got my t-shirt on. If I had my little cutoff on, I would.
Obviously, you guys, the talent we saw in Europe was different than the talent you're going to see in the college season. But how is what you guys did in Europe going to help you this season?
It was really great just to sort of set the standard of what we want to be this whole season. Team that plays with a lot of pace on offense and defense, pushing the ball, and then picking up full court. So I think it was great to sort of set the tone of what we were going to do this whole season. Obviously, we didn't get to work on it as much as we would have, so it was sort of like just thrown into the fire type of thing. But to be able to set that tone and show the freshmen and show the whole team what we're going to look like this whole entire year, and as we're going to get better as we keep working on it and drilling in these things, I think it was a really, really great way to start the season.
When did you start to trust your knee again? Like, was there a moment or maybe a week where you're like, okay, I feel confident making these turns, moving as explosively as I want to?
Yeah, I think it was probably around like the 7 or 8 month mark where I was starting to do more like workouts where I would go up for layups and someone would hit me with a ball and I would have to work on my landing. But a lot of it was like off the court stuff. Like I'd be in the weight room and I'd be jumping off boxes and making sure my knees are staying out when I'm landing. But I would say it was a lot of preparation before I even stepped out on the court, so that when the time comes when I go up for a layup and I get hit and I fall, or I go up and I land awkwardly, like I feel confident landing that way, and not even thinking about it. So I would say around like the 7th or 8th month mark, but it was honestly before I even stepped out on the court.
Paige, you were asked before about this is going to be your senior year. When you're making money like in the NIL, an athlete like you, does that change the perspective of like maybe staying a little longer because you are making some money? Is that factor into it at all?
No, that's really not a factor at all for me. I've said before, like I just love the college experience. I love being here at UConn and putting on that UConn jersey every single day. And I just have tremendous pride playing here and playing for this program. And I came here and I wanted to come here way before, not way before, but a little bit before NIL even started. So that really has no factor into my decision. It's more just the basketball aspect and the school aspect.